I called this engagement strategies and asynchronous courses because I think like it seems to me that there's probably two types of people here today, people who've taught asynchronous courses and people who haven't, right? And if you haven't, like I would just say at the outset, engagement is the name of the game. If your students are engaged, then you don't have to let perfect be the enemy of good. I'm obviously just going to limit my comments to certain strategies I think are effective. Not talking about whether people should teach asynchronously, but if you are, like, how can you make it good? So like what works? And so I'm going to break it up into 7 points. But first of all, I would say you want to be unboring. So like above all other things, like my goal is to be unboring, to be interesting, to be engaging, to do goofy things. Like I think far and away, being unboring is the key. Like, don't read, don't lecture, don't be long, be short, be concise, be interesting, be funny, and like, don't worry about getting every word right. I mean, I'm like Amy, I like rewatch everything that I record too, but I keep in mind that like my students are way more interested in whether like I'm engaging and interesting and enthusiastic and excited about the topic. They're way more interested in that than like whether I get every word just right. And of course I can't get every word just right because I'm not reading from a script, I'm just talking. Okay, so I'll say that at the outset, like be unboring, make that your guide. So my first piece of advice would be make your videos zing. All right, so I think making the videos of you talking is the most important thing, in my opinion, at least for how I've structured it. So what I do every week is like I break up the material for that week. I say, what would I normally cover in a given week? And then I try to discreetly break up topically what I want to cover into really short chunks. So with every video I record, I don't want it to be any more than 10 minutes. So 5 to 10 minutes. So it might be, a number of videos I'm going to record in any one week, but I chunk that up. So how do you make your videos zing or interesting? I think far and away being animated and being excited is best. I mean, if you're not excited about the topic, your students aren't going to be. I also think limiting them in length, super important. Like nobody's interesting for more than like 10 minutes. Nobody. Doesn't matter what they're saying or how they're saying it. Like people are only going to like follow you so long. Another thing I do that I find is a big hit. That's going to sound like probably really cheesy, but like I have musical intros for every video. So like I have like I'm going to say like 20 seconds on average. So I'll take like a song that might be like current. If I can, I'll use one that's current. If I can, I'll just take music that I like and I'll play it at the very beginning of the video. Students say they love it because A, they don't have to be on once the video starts. They have like some like ease in time. But B, it's like personal, like it's something about me. And the more the music like is current, like on the charts, the more they like, I think really, it takes them to like a different place emotionally, right? Like now they're not in school. They're like thinking about the last time they were at a friend's house or they were at a club or they were at a ball game or something. And so I think it kind of like mixes it up sort of emotionally in some ways. And then I'll just sort of like ease into the video and start talking. But being goofy or doing anything is just going to make it so much better. Anything you do, wear a hat. If you don't want to play music, wear a hat. Dance a jig, hold something. I mean, anything. I mean, I constantly in videos am like drawing like flow charts or visuals, and then I like hold them up to the screen, just to show. I mean, of course you could do that like through PowerPoint, but I prefer to do it this way just because it's more dynamic, like, oh, here's something for you to see and think about, or whatever. And then more than anything, don't read or memorize anything. Like spend a lot of time getting familiar with the subject and hit record, and it'll take a lot more time that way, but the videos will be way better, in my opinion. Okay, so that's the first tip. My second tip is to like supplement or find other cool videos. So when I teach in the classroom, I don't use any technology, which is partly probably why for me this is a little more rudimentary than like maybe what some other people have done. But because I'm already teaching with a video modality, using Canvas as a medium, it's so easy to like get on YouTube and find current event type stories or even interviews or other things that could like supplement the content and make it really interesting. So like I'm at the law school, that means we're learning about cases, right? We're learning about legal cases. So for that, for me, that means like I might be able to find like a really cool video about the lead plaintiff from a case talking about it, like what she was thinking when she was going through litigation, or maybe the aftermath of that. Or I'll find news stories about when the case was decided. These are all like super cool, and the students always tell me that they like them. That kind of mixes up me just talking all the time. Or maybe I'll find funny commentators who've generated comedy around a subject that's otherwise pretty serious, like John Oliver or Stephen Colbert, you know, so a short clip from them can be really good because like I'm not gonna tell jokes around charged topics, but they can. That's second thing. Third thing is message boards. So in terms of engagement, I do make use of message boards, and I like that because it's asynchronous. So it's a strategy for engagement that leverages the strengths of an asynchronous course because it's flexible. So it retains that. And I try to make that a really light lift. So I ask them usually to like, for each module, post a comment, a question, anything. I tell them it can be anything. So it can be, of course, like substantive, and like that could be like, oh, I saw something in the news, or I had this question. But I even try to make it easier than that. I say it can be non-substantive, like I'm enjoying the videos in the course, because I just want to get them like on the message board writing stuff. And then I ask them to respond to 2 other people. That's the thing. That's also a light lift. It's really easy not to have to think of your own content and just to like say something in response to others. Some people push back on this every semester because, you know, when you're making them do stuff, I think that's in tension with like the asynchronous format, but that is really important because it's another way for me to connect. And I don't respond to everything. Let me just say that. So I've moderated, I read it, but I don't respond to everything. If it's basically, I just ask myself, like, do they need me to say something? If they need me to respond, like it's a real question or something, then I respond. Optional exercises. So for each module, I have like an exercise, and I say they're optional because again, I'm trying to retain that flexibility while giving them as much engagement as they want. So these are actually all taken or modified from my final exam questions. They can roll through them. It's an opportunity for formative assessment. Providing an opportunity to work through exercises is good, and some people will use that and some will not. So I do like also optional weekly Q&As. So this is hard because nobody is structured in like set time for the course. So it can be really hard to find a time that works. I generally start by picking the lunch hour on Friday because I think, well, they probably don't have anything then. And if people don't come, then I'll like survey them and see like what other times might work for them during the week. Some semesters I'll move it around to different days and at different times. And I'm just basically searching for times where someone who wants to come can come. And I'm structuring it instead of like requiring them to get in touch with me and set up their own time because they're intimidated. They don't want to do that, but they don't mind like dropping in. That's better. Okay, I'm almost done. 6, I said like send lots of emails. So I email them a lot, and it's just to kind of like remind them like, hey, you're in this course. I'm a real human. I'm a resource. I want you to do well, even though you may not have ever met me in person before. Like I'm here and I'm available to you. And, you know, I'm checking in and I'm encouraging you to like, you know, stay engaged in this course and like reminding you of the help that I've offered to provide. So I just try to email them a lot too. I think that's good. It's a reminder to them, like, this is not distance education. Like I'm here, I'm available to help. And I mean, in my case, I tell them, hey, you know, if you're here in town, I'll meet with you. I'll meet with you in person. I'll meet with you. If you want to go outside, we can walk around, like, you know, because I'm not doing this I'm not doing this because I'm uncomfortable, say like teaching in person. I'm doing this strategically as part of what we're trying to offer as an institution. Final thing I would say is to check your stats. Check your stats. One of the really nice things about Canvas is it keeps statistics on how often people like people access, when's the last time they've accessed Canvas, and of course whether they've watched particular videos. And that can take some work and some monitoring. But if someone hasn't been on in like a few weeks, that's just that's a nice opportunity to not only make sure they don't fall behind, but to actually connect with them, because there may be something going on and you might really be able to help them, right? Like you might reach out, oh yes, sorry, my mom's been really sick and I've got 2 kids at home and Knox County canceled schools again, but I really appreciate that you care and you thought enough to check on me. And it can be like a good opportunity to connect. So if you, those statistics are great. They're just a great way of but I will say, to some extent, I do allow people to work ahead or work behind. So, I mean, it's not like if they haven't been on that week, I'm like, where are you? Like at all times, I'm trying to remember, like, this is a benefit to them. They have a more flexible arrangement here. I'm supporting some very non-conventional students or student arrangements. And in my case, these are all graduate students, right? So these aren't undergrads either. I mean, these are people who a lot of whom have families, and sometimes are still in another city. So in general, I would say I try to go light on mandates, go big on opportunities, and more than anything, be unboring.